Okay, so back to my story. Um, they had already given me antibiotics because the incision from the belly button down did not heal that well, and they wanted to make sure it would. So, on top of the antibiotics that I got in the surgery, and then after the surgery, I got antibiotics for the incision. I got bronchitis, and the doctor said, "Well, you can't be sick because you have all these antibiotics, and you can't be sick." Although I was coughing up a whole bunch of green and yellow goo and um, started uh, coughing really horribly. Anyways, they diagnosed me as having bronchitis, and um, they gave me more antibiotics. And I listened to the doctors, and okay, they gave me antibiotics. I need to take them. And I took the antibiotics, and within a week, I started bleeding from the bowels. Did not know why, did not understand what was happening to me. Um, all I knew it was serious. And they admitted me in the hospital. They did a colonoscopy and exams, and I um, was told that everything was fine and that I was just nervous. Um, I was standing in the hospital room, um, and I knew something was wrong with my body, and I knew I had to heal, and I knew I needed to get better, but I did not know how. And I truly felt that these doctors were going to kill me if I kept letting them do more surgery or giving me more pills, because obviously what they were telling me was not working. Every single month around my cycle times, I would get bronchitis, pneumonia, um, uh, shingles. I mean, just tons of stupid stuff. From a cold, I would go from a cold and pneumonia in 24 hours. Um, just different things. But anyways, uh, they just said, "Oh, it's nerves," or "We can't find out what's wrong. Tests were negative. Everything's fine." So, the only thing that kept showing back, kept coming up, was the fact that I had polycystic ovarian disease, and that's all I was told. Um, so, um, I started realizing that I had to get better, so I looked into natural medicines, and I looked into why I was bleeding, and come to find out, all the antibiotics that they gave me, it was stripping my good antibiotics, I mean, good biotics in my body, and I needed probiotics, and I started getting healthier right away. Um, I started doing a lot of research, a lot of educating myself. Um, anyway, so as I started getting better, I started to lose weight. And I have in what's called chronic pain. They don't know why, they don't know what's causing it, but I would get sciatica, which is in the hip. It goes down my leg, and if I stepped on the floor, it would feel like a shock, like a lightning bolt came up my my leg into my hip. Now my hip would get so swollen, it would look twice its size. It would feel knotty and very, very just this horrible, wretched pain. And my back would go out. I couldn't get out of bed for 14 days sometimes. I was constantly in agony, and and the doctors didn't know why. They called it sciatica, but they couldn't diagnose it. They gave me an MRI, and that came back saying that I had some disc and disc problems and a degenerative disc disorder, and that I had a swollen disc, and um, they think it's sciatica, but they can't really know for sure. And so one time it got so bad that I couldn't deal with it anymore. And I was going in and out of the ER room 2 and 3 times a week for I begging to be put out of misery. And I was called a drug seeker. Oh, you just want drugs. And I hated the fact that I had to take them. I could not stand the fact that I had to take drugs. I knew by taking drugs it was going to make me worse, and it was just a vicious circle, and I didn't know how to get out of it. Um, and I was treated so bad by the nurses and the doctors and the hospital. It was just horrendous. Um, uh, so I went to the doctor's office in so much agony, and the doctor came in and he had 2 big shots of steroids. And at that point in time, I did not care what he had. I, I mean, it could have been anything. I didn't care. Get me out of misery. 30 minutes later, I was out of pain. And I felt so much, not out of pain, but like when I say out of pain, it could be like on a pain scale from 1 to 5, it could be like a 4 to 5. To me, that's out of pain. Um, this was off the scale in pain. So, um, I started feeling better over that week. I felt really good. And anyway, so I a couple months later, I found out that I was pregnant. Shocked us because we're like, well, um, you know, we're being told it's not happening and what's wrong, and I'll never have kids. And then all of a sudden it comes down to, well, you're pregnant. And we were ecstatic, but it's like, well, what's going on? And I was scared. It was my sixth pregnancy. And so my doctor, who was a brilliant, wonderful doctor, um, when I was pregnant with Emily, so like 5 years later, um, she said that she didn't want me coming to her unless I was bleeding so bad that it was filling up my socks. And so when I started spotting, um, she didn't want to hear nothing. She didn't want to do any tests. She didn't want to take care of me. So I decided I was going to find another doctor. Um, I found another doctor, and he said that he was going to do a blood test, but it had 3 days to come back. Um, on the 13th of September, I know that date very well. It was a Friday, so it was a very sad day for me. 5 years ago, um, I lost a baby, and if anybody's ever had a miscarriage, it was a horror show, and it was horrible, and it's something that you can never forget. And um, we found out that the test results showed that I had low progesterone. And mind you, that was an incredible um, knowledge. It was, to find out, because it was something that we could go on. Um, at that time, it didn't even register. I mean, I was in mourning, and I was devastated, and I didn't care what you had to say. It didn't matter at that point. And I mean, there's a lot of details I'm leaving out, but this is the third video, and it's going long again. So um, I will do a part four. Um, it is 5 o'clock in the morning, and I can't sleep. So um, it, it's not that I um, can't sleep. It's just I got insomnia. It's hormones, they say. Okay.